Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Refined Conference 2020 Day 3, which is the established day, and you ladies have the amazing next hour with me. My name is Tamani Lyn, and I'll be hosting an entire masterclass centered around building a brand over the course of the next hour. I hope you ladies are ready because we have a ton of information to go through. You ladies can let me know in the comments if you're ready. Let me go ahead and make this full screen. All right. Yes, we got some readies. You ladies are ready. Okay, awesome. Hopefully you ladies have some note-taking materials because, again, we're going to be covering a lot of information over the course of the next hour, but it's going to be super beneficial and you guys are going to love it. So firstly, I'm going to start off by introducing myself. My name is Tamani Lyn, and I'm the founder and CEO of Woman of Lyn, which is basically a women's empowerment organization that is dedicated to uplifting and empowering all women to be boss through support and networking. We do this through a variation of different initiatives like group community service. We have business development programs like a one-on-one mentorship program that's nationwide, and we have a business coaching program that's also nationwide, in which I work with women one-on-one to build their brands and businesses from the ground up. So again, I'm happy to be here with you ladies to teach an entire masterclass centered around building a brand. So a little bit about myself, just as a background. I'm going to share my background and my personal testimony as well. So as far as experience, I've helped over 300 women build their brands and businesses through Woman of Lyn, business development workshops, webinars, programs, and more. And some background about myself, I actually just recently graduated with my baccalaureate in strategic public relations from the Blue State University, which is a HBCU based here in Maryland. I have that paired with a numerous amount of business certifications through the federal government, Stanford, and more. So I'm going to start off by sharing my personal testimony and having you guys, walk through with me how my brand has kind of grown. So here are some pictures on the screen of, a few speaking engagements and different business development workshops that I've been able to do over the course of the last year. When I first created my brand, I had absolutely no idea what a brand was. I just, started my business and I was just like, I'm just going to start a business and just let it go from there. I had no idea that when building a business, you're also building a brand for that business and also a personal brand. So in the beginning, when I first started out, again, I had zero idea what a brand was, even at the time, how to maintain one, etc. And as I started to become more consistent with my personal brand and my business brand, over the course of the last year, I've spoken at a numerous amount of universities, business headquarters, and a lot more things. So, I get this question a lot of, how were you able to build your brand to where it is now? And how are you able to be so consistent? And I've curated this next hour to go step by step with you ladies on how I was able to build my brand from the ground up. And all this information that I'm sharing with you ladies today is information that, of course, I've taken in and that I've learned to apply to my personal brand and my business brand. And these things have definitely worked for myself. So I want to start off by asking you ladies, I'm going to ask actually the entire audience, what is a brand? I want you guys to give me in the comments what your personal definition of a brand is. And again, a brand could be personal or it could be for your business. In your own words, what do you guys think a brand is before I tell you guys? Is it something based around public perception? Is it, something that puts someone at a position of authority within their industry? What is a brand in your own words? Yes, share this tag 3 boss days. Absolutely. Let's definitely share this. We're going to be learning today. So branding is conscious and intentional effort to create and influence public perception of an individual or a company by positioning them as an authority in their industry, elevating their credibility, and differentiating themselves from the competition to ultimately advance their career, increase their circle of influence, and have a larger impact. So you ladies noticed how, I centered, telling you guys about a brand and what a brand is, centered around 3 main things, which is influence, impact, and intent. Again, influence, impact, and intent. And when you're building a brand, either personally or for your business, it's going to be really, helpful for you to remember those 3 keywords, which is something I like to call the 3 I's. When you're building your brand, you want to make sure that you're building influence and that you're maintaining influence. You want to make sure that you're building impact and you're maintaining impact, and you have an intent behind your brand as well, okay? Moving forward, again, after you've defined what a brand is, you need to define what your brand is specifically. In creating a brand, you want to define what will make you different and how will you stand out from those around you. That's a question that I had to ask myself when I first started my brand with my women's empowerment organization, and I noticed that I was building a personal brand. I kept asking myself, you know, a whole bunch of people are doing what I'm doing. But of course, as you know, if God called you to it, there will always be room for you. So I wasn't sweating it at all, but I kept asking myself, how can I set myself aside from the millions of other women that are doing this, right? How can I set myself aside to, you know, put my brand at the forefront? And it was really important for me to figure out my differentiating factors, you know, my genuineness, my rawness, you know, my brand values are different than most. So that's a little bit of homework that I want you ladies to go home with, is to figure out what your differentiating factors are within your brand that you see that another brand has, and you're like, how can I set myself aside, okay? It's gonna be really important for you ladies to take that time out to have time with yourself and figure out the answer to that question, because it's really beneficial. It will really take you far. So moving forward, there are 6 key elements in building a brand. 1, you need to have a target audience, in which I will get into that a little bit more in depth later. 2, you need to have a brand promise. 3, brand perception. Oh guys, my PowerPoint. Okay. 3, brand perception. 4, brand values. As I was just saying, brand values are extremely important to have. 5, brand voice. And 6, brand positioning. Now, I will touch mainly on target audience and brand positioning in a few moments as I go step by step with you ladies. I'm just giving you ladies some background information on building a brand so you guys are aware of what a brand is before I teach you ladies how to effectively build one. After identifying your brand, you want to find your audience. So a lot of people ask, you know, when it comes to building a brand, how do I know who I'm impacting? How do I know who my brand is reaching? How do I know, you know, the people that are part of my brand? How do I know to keep giving to them through my brand? So you want to have 4 main key factors when it comes to identifying your audience. Number 1, age, which is something that a lot of people are the most familiar with when it comes to identifying a target audience, but they don't know that it's actually 4 key factors. So 1 is age, 2 is ethnicity/race, 3, something called psychographics, which is something that a lot of brand owners and business owners don't really talk about, but it's extremely important to figure this out. Psychographics is basically the deeper behaviors, hobbies, or beliefs that your target audience shares. So for example, I'm going to give you ladies an example, because I know a lot of people probably haven't heard of this word before, but for example, Woman of Lyn, our brand is geared towards an audience that, you know, is faith-based, boss women, women that consistently educate themselves with their businesses. And of course, psychographics is something that you're going to have to take time to figure out when it comes to your audience, just, you know, figuring out their tendencies and what they like to do. But that's a little bit about psychographics. And fourthly, buying tendencies. So you want to know your buying tendencies when it comes to your consumers and your target audience as well, because of course, when you're building a brand, you want to make sure that you have impact as far as monetarily as well, if you want to take your brand and your business down that route, okay? So those are the 4 main key factors in finding your target audience. Again, age, ethnicity/race, psychographics. I want you ladies to write that that word down, because I know it can be kind of difficult to intake in just one sitting. So I want you guys to research that as well for a little bit of homework. And fourthly, buying tendencies. So moving forward, you want how you will impact your audience with your brand. So there are 3 main platforms that most people use when it comes to building a brand. And Instagram, I'm going to start off with Instagram because it's the one that most people are familiar with. So Instagram is one of the most vast platforms for those building a brand or business, with a usership of 1 billion globally. Yes, 1 billion people on a free app, 1 billion, yes. I know it's hard to believe, but majority of its users are between ages 18 to 24. Okay, and that's a platform that a lot of people use if they want to target the millennial / Generation Z target audience when it comes to their brand. But Instagram is mostly known for its aesthetics when it comes to building a brand. It's mostly known for images and aesthetics, and how to identify a brand through coloring and things like that. As you guys know, it's a picture-based platform, so you're kind of painting a picture of your brand when it comes to Instagram, and that's why most people use it, because it's easier to get a brand message across through visuals. Number 2, although Twitter is the least used platform, Twitter's usership is at 300 million globally, with an average demographic of ages 18 to 26, which is again millennial / Gen Z based. But the reason that a lot of people don't utilize Twitter as a brand building platform is because it's mostly, typing, it's mostly words, it's mostly informational based. So if your company or your brand is not centered around information or news or things like that, I would definitely say stray away from Twitter. And that is why their usership is a lot lower than Instagram and the next platform that I'm about to share, because a lot of people, their brands are easier to be conveyed through visuals. So if you have a brand that is centered around news or information, I would definitely say go for Twitter. But if you're centered around visuals and trying to paint a picture with your brand, definitely go with Instagram and this next tool that I'm about to share. So number 3, Facebook. With Facebook being the largest platform globally with 2 billion users, yes, double than Instagram, its usership ranges widely from ages 16 to 57. So this is the reason why a lot of people who have brands, they utilize Facebook over Instagram, because not only does Facebook own Instagram, but because their audience is so vast and it's so widely ranged to the point where you can basically target anyone when it comes to your target audience, and you have a whole bunch of access to basically a big and Instagram. So I would definitely say if you're building a brand as far as visuals, definitely go with Facebook and Instagram. But if you're informational based, stick with Facebook and Twitter. But as you ladies know, today's segment, a part of the Refine Conference, is actually going to be on YouTube Live and I believe Facebook Live. So that kind of gives you a preview of, how large Facebook is as a platform. So after the basics that I just shared with you ladies, there are 6 steps to building a brand. And I want to take a small break to see if you guys have any questions or if you guys are, learning valuable information before I move forward with the actual breakdown of the 6 steps. Let me know in the comments. Oh, thanks guys. Said this is good. Okay. Awesome. I hope you ladies are taking notes because I know it's a lot of information and we only have an hour. Okay, awesome. Are you guys ready for the 6 steps to build your brand? Now that you guys have the basics of what a brand is, are you guys ready to learn the actual 6 steps? Okay, we do have one question before we move forward. Does utilizing a bigger platform like Facebook make it harder to grasp an audience since there are so many people? So no, it won't make it harder for you to grasp an audience. If anything, it makes it easier for you to grasp an audience, because if you already know your audience going into, Facebook and say Twitter, different platforms like Instagram, then you already know who you're targeting with your content. So the better that you're able to convey your brand through your content is the better that you'll be able to reach those people. Thank you for putting that question up on the screen. Hi, Sabrina. And I definitely do think with answering that question, it's easier to actually get your brand across to your target audience because it's more people that you're able to reach. It's a larger target audience that you're able to reach. So to answer your question, no. But in saying no, you want to make sure that your content is as crisp as possible. It's conveyed as clear as possible to your audience in order to reach those people. Let me know if I was able to answer your question, Sabrina. We have one more question. I want to start a boutique / brand. Instagram and Facebook will be my best choices. Yes, ma'am. Instagram and Facebook will be your best choices because with being a boutique, people want to see the clothes, they want to see visuals and not so much information. So I would definitely say Instagram and Facebook is definitely the route to go. All right, let's go ahead and move forward. So we have 6 steps. Number 1, this is a step that not a lot of people talk about when it comes to building a brand. You need to focus on you. Before you even start building the brand, you need to sit down and have a one-on-one with yourself and start with you first when it comes to building a brand, with the 3 E's, something that I like to call the 3 E's. You need to empower you, educate you, and embody the boss in you. Before you even get to the business, before you even get to the brand and empowering others or reaching your vast audience through a multitude of things, you need to sit down with yourself and ask yourself, how will I able to be convey to my audience what my brand is? That's a question that I had to ask myself when starting out. What are some brand values that I want to have that will stick with me to not only set myself aside from the millions of people that have brands and businesses like mine, but how can I empower myself and educate myself to make sure that I'm going to be the best, as possible as a brand owner? And it's really important to embody the boss in you before, you even get to the rest of the steps, because you want to make sure that, you're upholding your brand on the back end. So that's a step that I wanted to share with you ladies, and not a lot of people talk about as far as business owners and brand owners. You really need to start with yourself, with the 3 E's when it comes to building a brand. So again, empower you, educate you, and embody the boss in you. My little example, before we move on to step 2, I had to do a lot of education, self-empowerment, and boss work. I'm going to be completely transparent and honest. When I first started Woman of Lyn, I didn't really know that I was going to turn into a platform that was centered around business development until I started educating myself more on my industry and taking more courses and certifications to figure out if this was something that I really wanted to do. And I had to do a lot of boss work, which is something that I like to call and I had to kind of empower myself a lot on the back end. When it comes to building a brand and a business and you've never done this before, sometimes you can get really scared or discouraged or be like, well, I don't know if I'm ready for this. This seems like a huge task. I'm scared. I'm nervous where this is going to go. Just start. Just start. Just make sure you have all the tools necessary as far as what you give yourself, as far as educating yourself on your industry and your platform, doing a lot of self-empowerment and a lot of boss work, to make sure that you're starting off on the right foot. And that's something that I wish someone told me in the beginning, because that's something that I kind of had to figure out on my own. I really had to empower myself before I even got to empowering other women, because I wanted to make sure that I was upholding that brand on the back end. So step 2, you want to make sure you're gaining an underground audience of support. So you want to make sure that social media isn't the only form in which people are seeing your brand. Do you have emailing systems like MailChimp, Klaviyo, etc.? Do you have physical mailing systems? For example, you guys can think about, say, your favorite department store. You can say Target or Victoria's Secret or Macy's, different things like that. If you turn on your TV, there's a commercial for all those platforms. If you open your mailbox, they're sending you something in the mail. If you open your email, they're right there too. So I always make it a point of importance to talk about, having multiple audiences of support. You don't want to just, have social media as the only way you're able to convey your brand to others globally, because what if the internet goes out and all social media goes out? Then what do you have? So you kind of want to have different things to fall back on, but also you want to have multiple lanes of communication with your audience as well. So I highly recommend starting out for you to have either 2 out of 3 of the platforms that I share with you ladies. Again, I highly recommend Instagram and Facebook if you're visually based. But aside from that, if you're first starting out, I would highly recommend having a emailing system. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys right now, MailChimp is the best when it comes to having a mailing system, because it's easy to navigate. I believe you can have up to 1,000 subscribers for free, and it doesn't charge you anything per month. And it's super easy to use, and you're able to reach a lot of people at one time, almost instantaneously. So it's really important for you to have multiple forms in which people are seeing your brand again. And you want to also remember, again, do you have other forms of communication with your audience? Again, you don't want social media to go out and then you don't have anything to, showcase your brand on. So make sure you have those different, lanes of influence within your brand. Step 3, make sure you're solving a problem. Why are people coming to you and your brand specifically? Motivation, information, education. For example, Women of Lyn, we're centered around all those 3 things. But again, that's something I had to take a step back on and say, what type of problem are we solving? Yes, we can post quotes all day, every day. We can post speaking engagements and events. But what problem are we solving? Why are people coming to our brand specifically and my personal brand specifically? And I figured out that it was the three main things of motivation, information, and education. Okay. Notice the systems you use. Aren't they educating you on something or solving a problem? Like, for example, this amazing conference, you ladies are a part of this virtual conference to get empowered, uplifted, and educated. Whether it's spiritually, through Christ, whether it's through business and building a brand and other things. You ladies are here, because you're solving a problem and you're here for a reason. So you want to make sure that your brand is standing for a reason as well, okay? Um, for example, again, Woman of Lyn is around business education, motivation, and support. Instagram, for example, it's around providing connection, unlike other social media platforms. And I want to ask you ladies a question. What is one example that you ladies have of a platform that is currently solving a problem for you? For example, of course, Instagram gives you, connection across the globe, say with your brand or your friends that you may not see 24/7. What are some platforms that you notice are solving a problem for you? You ladies can go ahead and share that in the comments. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm not sure if you guys can see this on the screen, but someone said, or Andy Smith said, I'm a brand new market strategist, and this young lady is really some powerful and very relevant information. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Okay, we're getting some, oh, you guys are fast. Zoom and Facebook Live for church services, absolutely. Gymshark, let me see. Zoom, YouTube, Zoom, of course. Yes. Yep. Highly agree with you guys. Definitely solving the problem. Especially Zoom has definitely come to the rescue with a lot of, schoolings and, educational based conferences like this. Has been extremely beneficial. So you want to make sure your brand is standing to solve a problem like a lot of these large platforms. YouTube is where I get all my education. Absolutely. Highly agree. Highly agree. Not all my education, but I call it YouTube University on the back and it's super beneficial. So thank you guys for sharing your examples. We're going to go ahead and move forward. Again, thank you guys for sharing those things. Step 4, you want to make sure you're branding and marketing properly. This is one of the most important steps that you want to have when it comes to building your brand. You don't want to do all the back end of, building a brand and making sure you have your brand values, your brand voice, your brand message, and you get to the marketing part of it and you're stuck, right? So you want to make sure you have 3 main things. 1, a website or a landing page. It's extremely important, even if it's not an official .com or .org, even if you have something like a big cartel or something that is just serving as a landing page to, get people to an overall general platform of your business outside of social media or something that you have as secondary, it's extremely important to have a website or an alternative to that. 2, professional social media handles, emphasis on professional. So when you're building a brand or a business, people don't want to see, your personal Instagram or your personal Twitter in which you might, share things that you really don't, want your audience or professional audience to see. So I recommend a lot to clients or mentees that I have to create professional channels and to try to keep their personal channels on private. I know Instagram and Twitter allows you to have a private platform or a private handle on their platforms, which is something that I recommend. If you want to kind of keep that personal and professional separate, I highly recommend that, but try not to intertwine both. Try not to have a personal social media platform and then trying to display it as a brand as well, because it can kind of get confusing. You'll notice yourself wanting to share things but not being able to because it's your professional platform, or you'll notice sometimes you want to share personal things, but you can't because you're, the people that follow your brand and your target audience is following you. So that is something, again, that I struggled with in the beginning. Although I wasn't sharing things that, I wasn't supposed to or that I wasn't comfortable with, I noticed that, when I was building a brand, a professional, personal brand, I wanted to kind of filter that. So that is something that I highly recommend to people that are starting their own businesses or professional brands. Try to have a professional social media handle aside from your personal if you want to separate both. Now, if you want to just have professional social media handles, for example, like I have, that's completely fine. But I highly recommend for you to separate the both if you want. Thirdly, make sure you have back-end business materials. For example, make sure you have business cards. Make sure you have a logo in hand. Make sure you have, different things like small flyers to pass out. Before Woman of Lyn, which is, of course, my Women's Empowerment organization, before we had a website or anything that was super professional, like a social media handle, I used to pass out little flyers like, hey, I'm the founder of Woman of Lyn. I used to have a business card in my hand. You want to make sure that your branding and marketing isn't just on social media. And I'm going to share a video at the end that I was able to find that is super beneficial to further go in depth with making sure that you have a brand on and off social media. But aside from that, you want to make sure that you have back-end business materials. And I want to share this with you guys. I don't want you to rush this process. The more you invest into your presentation, the more impactful your brand will be to the masses. So if you have to kind of spend a little bit extra money on business cards or graphic design or hiring someone to do it for you is definitely worth the money, because you don't want to waste all this time preparing and and you're not able to effectively market your brand with having not the best investing and so on and so forth. Small gem, if you're creating your own business cards, there are free platforms like Canva, Spark Post. I think those are the two main ones that I highly recommend the most if you're doing your own content creation or graphic design. And Staples actually has, I think, $20 business cards for 500 count right now online. I hope that hasn't ended already, but that kind of gives you guys a preview of how many resources are out there for brand owners and business owners to go ahead and get that jump start. So go ahead and download Canva, go ahead and download Spark Post. You guys have probably already heard about those channels, but if you haven't, they are amazing. And if you don't have business cards or back-end business materials, Staples is currently running a sale right now online. Moving on to step 5, the second to last step, you want to make sure you have a proper launch strategy, okay? Make sure you have a proper launch strategy again. And again, do not rush this process. A small mistake that a lot of people make that tends to come off as an even bigger mistake is rushing the process of building their brand. For example, I had a client a few years ago. We were interested in getting her to do speaking engagements and different things, but we wanted her to spend a lot of time on the back end building her brand and making sure that she was well equipped to be a public speaker before she got on a stage. She thought that, she was ready before, the timeline we had set forth, and she in turn didn't have a proper launch strategy to ensure that, she would fulfill that speaking engagement properly. And it kind of, I don't want to say failed, but it did falter on the back end. So from me seeing that, I definitely highly recommend to those who are building brands or businesses, make sure that you really spend as much time as possible when it comes to having a launch strategy. When you're building a brand, of course, that strategy will be making sure that you have all the back end covered, that you have all the proper business materials, as I just talked about, the proper education, the self-work, the self-empowerment. Make sure you have all of that together before you even launch, because you don't want to launch and then it goes stale, okay? So make sure you have a proper launch strategy and do not launch without one. So this is a launch formula that I created today for you guys. This is called the W Boss Launch Formula from Woman of Lyn. This can either be used for a personal brand or a business brand. So you want to have 3 phases. 1, the planning phase. Of course, when you're planning something out for your brand and your business, it could be planning a speaking engagement announcement. It could be planning classes that you want to, display to your audience and so on and so forth. Secondly, the quiet phase. And then thirdly, the kickoff. So this is a launch formula that I like to use constantly in rotation, because I like the fact that no one really knows what I'm working on next. Because again, I plan, I don't talk about it, and then I just launch it once I have my launch strategy. Sometimes when we're brand owners and business owners, we can kind of jumpstart that process and not really see, the benefits of the launch strategy that we had, because we kind of rush things sometimes. So I want to leave you guys with this launch formula. You want to have, again, a planning phase, a quiet phase, and a kickoff paired with the launch strategy. And again, I wanted to include this in today's masterclass because I don't want you guys to rush your launches. I want you guys, again, to take the most time as possible to make sure that you're ready before you launch, okay? And emphasis, you guys are noticing that I'm placing a huge emphasis on take the time that you need to, because once you start, there's no stopping. Once you start, once you say you're gonna do something, you have to do it. Once you say you're gonna host a masterclass or a speaking engagement or you launch something for your business, you don't want to falter on that. So take as much time as possible as you need to make sure you properly prepare. Step 6, dream, plan, execute, and repeat. So when having a brand and a business, this processing formula is bound to keep you going in business, okay? Dream as far as star days on your business ideas. Of course, dream and plan and plot when it comes to that. Plan, secondly, properly take the time out to plan and strategize your ideas. Lastly, execute your launch, and then repeat the same process over and over and over and over again to ensure brand consistency and a genuine impact on the market shows. This is something, again, that I like to utilize for my personal brand and my business brand. It's something that I display to all of my clients. It's really important to make sure that you keep this process going. A lot of people, when they start brands or business, they're not sure how to keep that consistency going, okay? So you want to make sure you dream, plan, execute, take a little break. Don't forget to take that little break, and then repeat that whole process all over again. And this could be, again, used for your personal brand or your business. So some special systems that I would like to share with you guys that I want you guys to download now, and they're all 100% free except for the last one. Number 1, MailChimp. Let me go out to see if you guys are. Oh, thanks. This masterclass, everything. Thanks so much. I'm thankful to be here. So 1, MailChimp. Again, it is a huge gem. MailChimp is a huge gem. Again, that is for emailing systems for your business or your brand. 2, Zoom and Crowdcast. These are webinar platforms like this one, but I'm aware that Zoom is free. I'm not sure about Crowdcast over a certain person count, but I know for right now that they're free. 3, Canva, which is a free graphic design platform. You can be used on your phone or computer. 4, Pinterest. Oh my goodness. I underestimated Pinterest a lot when it first came to building my brand and my business, because it's a lot of inspiration on Pinterest. For example, if you need business plans or business layouts, or as far as a color scheme or business tips, Pinterest is great for that, especially when it comes to building a brand and gaining inspiration. Pinterest is amazing. 5, Google Calendar. Although a lot of people underestimate this software, it is one of the most impactful softwares. I think it's better than, the Apple Calendar that they already give you on, say, your computers or your phones. Google Calendar is the best because it allows you to have reminders. It has alarms, I believe. It allows you to put in meetings and send meetings to other people. And again, these are all free platforms except for the last one. And the last one is QuickBooks, which is something that a lot of brand owners and business owners utilize now because, of course, we're all confined to our homes right now. So a lot of us have to do our own bookkeeping when it comes to sales and different things like that. When you're building a brand and a business, that's something that a lot of people don't tell you about as well, to make sure that you keep an eye on what you're bringing into your brand and your business. So QuickBooks is a platform. I believe it's $20 to $60 a month, but it's super beneficial to make sure that you're on top of things as far as financially when it comes to your brand and your business. So those are 6 free systems that I wanted to share with you guys before we wrapped up. And again, if you guys caught on earlier, I said that I had a video to share with you all. It is an added learning video from one of my favorite business coaches and brand owners, Erin On Demand on YouTube. She goes in depth over the course of 15 minutes. I don't think we'll watch the full 15 minutes because I know that's kind of lengthy. But she's centering this video around building a strong personal brand. And of course, when you're building a business or a business brand, you're building a personal brand without even knowing. And she talks about a lot of different things in this video, and I'm glad I was able to find it for today to further go off of the information that I taught you guys today. So if you guys are ready for the video, let me know. Oh, you guys already know about Erin? Yes, I love Erin. Erin is amazing. So are you guys ready? I'm probably going to only share 5 minutes, and then I might drop the link in the comment section if I'm able to, or you guys can search it on YouTube, Building a Strong Personal Brand, compared with the homework that I gave you guys in the beginning. Okay, we got some I'm ready. All right, I'm ready because I would watch it too. Okay, give me 1 second, guys, so I can pull it up for you guys. Let me see. Okay, I'm gonna find the link. So excited to be here. Let's see. Monday.com. Okay. I found the video, so I'm going to go ahead and share it with you guys. Okay. Let me know if you guys can see my screen. All right, guys, able to see my YouTube screen when I flip over? Yes, yes, okay, yes, okay. Let me go ahead and start it. Is a platform to manage your entire marketing team, from content creation and strategic planning to client requests and organizing. What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Erin, and this is Erin on Club. And so everyone talks about niching and finding your tribe and picking colors and what colors evoke and taking great images and pictures and all that stuff. But even though that's true, that's totally true, it's very important in personal branding, but that's not the only thing. It's kind of made personal branding synonymous with what you put on social media about yourself, and it's not just that, okay? So the first thing I want to make note of is that whether or not you're trying to have a personal brand, you have one, okay? And all the personal brand is what people perceive of you based on what they know about you. So your personal brand is not just social media, it's how you interact with people in person, it's how you do business, it is how all of that works together in one community, in one kind of ecosystem that creates your overall personal brand. So yes, social media is an aspect of that, but it is not the end all be all. And you can still create a strong personal brand without social media. So this video is going to be primarily some awesome tips to create and build a strong personal brand on and off social media so that you can have a brand that creates impact or that builds your business or that just achieves whatever goals you have for your own personal brand. Now, one of the best things that you can do and start doing immediately is writing down your core values. And these aren't just things that you want people to receive from your content. These are not tangible things. These are feelings you want to evoke from your audience or potential audience through your brand. So these are 3 words that I chose for my brand, which are real. I want people to feel that I just keep it real. I want you to feel like I am a real person, that you can relate to me, and that, I'm just like anybody else. That's why my daily life videos, you'll see me with no makeup. Just like how I talk off camera is how I talk to y'all on camera. I just keep it real. And I want my information to come across as genuine and real. So real is definitely one of my main values. Second top value that I have is inviting. So I want people to feel like they are welcomed, whether that's through the camera, whether I run into a subscriber at the mall like I just did a couple of days ago. She was ringing me up at the store for some clothes, and literally she was like, oh my gosh, I am a subscriber, I really love you. And I just always want people to feel like they are invited into my space, whether that's online or in person. And even when I conduct business, being inviting is something that I am just, I give hugs. That's me. So inviting is a huge value of mine. And then the third value, valuable. Okay. So I always want to offer value to people, even for free. Like on YouTube, I like to give value. On Instagram, I like to give value. In my stories, Instagram stories, I like to give value.
in person and people ask me questions or, you know, whatever, I'm always trying to give as much value as I can. In my business, I try to give people as much bang for their buck as they can. So I always achieve to over deliver, which is super, super important to me. So my 3 values: real, inviting, and valuable. So start by picking 3 words that you want your audience to feel, and you need to funnel every piece of content, every interaction through those values. That needs to be a living, breathing part of you, because your personal brand ultimately is about what is important to you and how that is important to your audience. The next thing that you should do in growing your personal brand is pick 2 social media platforms max to really put your energy into. So in my eBrand Club, which is my membership club for entrepreneurs or content creators looking to build their brand and business, I did a full hour-long lesson on which platforms should you be on. But I will give you a quick tip that I shared with my club. Pick 2 main social media platforms to channel your energy into. What you want to do is you want to pick one platform that is more long form. So it is long form content where you can add value. So that might be YouTube videos, that may be podcasting, that may be long form Facebook videos, blog posts. So pick one platform that adds high value. Then a secondary platform that adds high engagement. So this is where you engage heavily with your followers and you begin building those relationships. And that is like the perfect duo. So this might be Twitter. You may love to tweet and you might have a way with words or super witty. And so you might be great on camera. So maybe you have YouTube as one of your long form content, and then you have Twitter as your secondary content, and you kind of tag team the 2 platforms, and it just kind of creates this really clean ecosystem. You're not pushing people to Instagram and to Facebook and to YouTube and to podcasts. You give them 2 main places to live and to really build those communities. So I find that that's a really great way to brand yourself personally, is not trying to focus on so many social media platforms, not trying to grow all of your platforms, but really zeroing in on 2 platforms that are really going to help you build your audience, where one offers high value, the other offers high engagement and strong relationship building. Bam! The next thing is to be clear and to be consistent. Now, what I find a lot of entrepreneurs have an issue with is being clear in what they do, the services they offer, who they're offering those services to, and how they help that person. A lot of people don't even know how to explain their business in a very short and sweet way, which is super, super important. So the first thing is being clear on the purpose of your brand. The second part of that is being consistent. Repetition is key. Now, this is where those graphics and colors and those things can come into play, where you're constantly putting out content and it's like a certain format. That is great branding. People can recognize you from those colors. They know automatically that this is an Erin video because I know what her thumbnails look like, or I know whatever, that this is her color. That is a great aspect of personal branding, and you should be consistent in the way that you present yourself graphically. But also it's important to be consistent in the way that you present yourself personally. And I have dealt with businesses where their social media looks amazing. They make themselves out to be this poppin', entrepreneur or hustler or side hustler or whatever. And then I try to support and I order something and the customer service is terrible. Or, I don't get my order in X amount of time. Or, it's just the personal brand doesn't carry all the way through to the end of my transaction. And so you always want to make sure that you are consistent with your brand, not just graphically and on social media and through your colors and your graphic branding, but also through your human interactions, your customer service. That is very, very important, that these core values don't just live on social media, but they live in your day-to-day life. Now, let's talk about quality over quantity. It is so important, you guys, to have quality supporters than a lot of non-quality supporters. A lot of people get really caught up in vanity metrics. You want a certain amount of followers or a certain amount of subscribers. And I know one of my goals for the end of the year is to get 50,000 subscribers. But I understand that it is not just about the subscribers that matters. It's about having loyal supporters. There is a concept called the 1,000 True Fans by Kevin Kelly, and basically he breaks down how all you need to really make a living is 1,000 true fans. So if you are selling like my e-brand club, for example, it is $20 a month. If there were 1,000 people in that club, that would be $20,000 a month. All you need is 1,000 loyal subscribers, those people who ride for you, who are first to comment on your videos, who are first to buy something from you. You don't need to focus so much on having more people. You just need to focus way more on having more quality people and building the followers that you have into those people who want to, you know, be super loyal to you. The next tip in building your personal brand is not to just talk the walk, not to just talk the talk, but to walk the walk. And I think that this is probably the most challenging thing for people nowadays, because social media has given us a way to push out our personal brands, even if it's not something that we truly believe in or, you know, is authentically us. So there are a lot of people perpetrating out here and putting out personal brands and trying to get their audiences to perceive a certain thing about them when that's not actually how they are. Okay, let me know if you done dealt with some of that before, because anyway, if you cannot send a follow-up email, if you cannot have great customer service, if you cannot truly come through the way that you make yourself out to on social media, then that is not your personal brand, boo-boo. And you can really tarnish your brand and your reputation if you don't follow through with the image that you are creating for yourself on social media. The next thing you need.
Okay, guys. Wanted to share that super impactful video. Okay, I wanted to share that super impactful video because I just had to, when I first came across it, I just knew I had to share it for today because it was so impactful. And even before, you know, me gathering it for today, I noticed that a lot of her videos were impactful to myself on the back end as a brand owner. Now, as we wrap up, I wanted to leave you guys with a little gem. So everyone that is a part of this live stream right now or is registered for the Refine Conference will be going home with a Dream Plan, Execute, and Repeat ebook free for all Refine Conference attendees. This is an ebook that, of course, further goes in depth with the strategy that I was teaching to you guys a few moments ago with dreaming, planning, executing, and repeating. This ebook can be utilized year after year. It's a January through December planner, basically, filled with a lot of impactful things. And I'm glad to be able to be here with you guys to not only teach you about building a brand, but also giving you guys the tools to make sure that you're building that brand constantly, even after you leave this conference. All you guys have to do to retrieve that free ebook is to email me at contact.tamanilyn@gmail.com. And just say, you know, I was an attendee at the Refine Conference. I'm just emailing you to see if I can receive the Dream Plan, Execute, and Repeat ebook. That is all you guys have to do is to email either womanoflyn@gmail.com or contact.tamanilyn@gmail.com to retrieve your free ebook. And I want to end off by thanking you guys so much for attending this entire hour of this masterclass with me. I'm so thankful to be able to teach you guys again the 6 steps that were needed in order to build a brand successfully. If you guys want to finish watching the video, which I highly recommend because, you know, she's sharing a lot of more tips down the line. It's called Building a Personal Brand with 6 Steps. In parentheses, it says On and Off Social Media by Erin On Demand on YouTube. You guys can follow me at Tamani Lyn and at Woman of Lyn on the screen, and subscribe to woman.org to be in the know of future events, speaking engagements like this that we're a part of, and more. I want to leave you guys off with a quote before I accept questions. Don't worry if you have questions. I will definitely be taking the last 5 to 10 minutes to answer them. But I want to leave you guys with a quote. What God has for you is for you. Trust His timing and trust His plan. And again, if God called you to it, there will always be room for you. So I don't want you guys to get discouraged in attending this masterclass thinking, oh, 1,000,001 people have a brand that I want to start, or 1,000,001 people have a this that I want to start. He will make a way for you. He will make room for your impact. All right, go ahead and accept the question. All right, you guys are welcome. You guys are welcome. I'm going to open up the comment section for questions. If you guys had any for me centered around building a brand or building a business or anything like that for the last 5 to 10. Thank you guys for sharing my email. Don't forget to email me contact.tamanilyn@gmail.com to go ahead and retrieve the ebook. You're welcome. You guys are so welcome. You guys are such an amazing audience, such a nice audience. I love it. Such great energy. You guys are welcome. You're welcome. If you guys don't have any questions, that's totally fine. Because I know we covered a lot. But again, if you have any questions that might arise, even after this conference, you guys can always shoot us an email at womanoflyn@gmail.com. Email me personally at contact.tamanilyn@gmail.com. Again, I am accepting questions for the last 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, we have a question from Lauren Hood. I'm launching my online women's ministry next month. Ooh, love to see it. Could my story of being a pastor that distance for 4 years be how I set myself apart? Yes, okay, versus absolutely. I definitely do that when it comes to building a brand or a business. You have to figure out what sets you aside. Although it may be something that might be uncomfortable to share for yourself, you need to realize that sometimes, that could be your differentiating factor, right? You want to utilize it as inspirational purposes. And I definitely think if someone comes across that, they may be able to connect with that or relate to that. You never know with what you share, who it can touch and who it can impact. So I definitely do think that you should utilize that for inspirational purposes, using that as your own personal testimony. I definitely do agree. Yes, it's so nice. You're welcome. I do believe that this live will be available on YouTube, I believe. Let me scroll up a little bit. Someone asked if it's going to be available. I do believe it will be. Yes, okay. They said this will be available. Okay, great. All right. I think I was able to answer everybody's questions. Again, I'm so happy that I was able to spend this entire hour with you guys to teach you guys a masterclass on building a brand. Again, you guys can follow me at Tamani Lyn or at Woman of Lyn and go ahead and shoot me an email for that free ebook. Okay. We have one more question before I leave. If being homeless the new norm, are physical business cards and flyers coupled with their digital version outside of social media you would recommend? So for right now, I definitely do say that social media is your digital business card for right now. But it would be extremely helpful for you to go ahead and have those things on the back end just so that you're prepared if we're able to go outside anytime soon. But for the meantime being, I definitely do think that utilizing different platforms like social media and even MailChimp, as I just said, to make sure you're still connecting with your audience is extremely important. But as far as the digital version outside of having a business card or a flyer, I'd say an alternative to that is social media, as social media is definitely a virtual, I would definitely say, business card when it comes to displaying your brand to others. Was I able to answer your question? Let me know. Miss Diamond. Let me know if I was able to answer your question in the comments. All right, guys. All right. I was able to answer your question. Great. All right. Again, guys, thank you. I know this is the third time I'm saying thank you, but I want to just make sure I'm answering all you guys' questions. I hope you guys had an amazing time during my session. And you guys will have even more sessions coming up with an amazing panel. Definitely take in the information that they'll be bringing, as I'm sure they're going to be dropping a ton of gems. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. Bye, guys.